So if you're a partner and you're supporting a bunch of different Business Central customers, you can have your own company hub and have your list of customers right there and be able to access that environment quickly. The only thing that we noticed so far is that your login has to pretty much be the same throughout. Hey everyone, it's October and you know what that means? No, not that pumpkin spice lattes are back. It means Business Central Release Wave 2 updates have begun rolling out. Therefore, we've got some exciting news to share with you this month. We've also tried out and want to share our thoughts on the Business Central Company Hub extension that is included in the latest release, and we'll be discussing Business Central's email login capabilities. So, in the words of Roy T. Bennett, the beginning is always now. Let's get started.
Over 200,000 businesses running this on the fat tire.
Or fat, what did I say, flat? Sorry.
If any of the operations that you're doing require the use of an outside processor or subcontract vendor, that is not supported with Assembly.
Don't be afraid to talk to your partner.
Today, we're drinking Arrogant Bastard Ale.
I want to know why Jim picked this beer over the other one.
Because I really think it resembled, my personality more than anything else.
Level 3, Knuckles has been dispatched. He's on his way.
I think one of the benefits and detriments all at the same time is the visibility that it gave us into our actual data.
Welcome to another edition of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer.
Michael Intravartolo and Ken Sebahar back for another episode of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer. And today's beer is Dynamo Copper Lager. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Could be saying it wrong. But it's made by Metropolitan Brewing. So let's pop these suckers open and see what kind of a first impression it has on us. What do you think, Ken?
Hey, Michael, I'm doing good. Glad to be back. It tastes like a copper lager to me.
Yeah? I'll tell you what, it smells pretty good.
I'm curious, though, as you take your first sip, my first question for you of the day is, which word there do you think you're pronouncing incorrectly? Dynamo, copper, or lager?
Probably Dynamo.
So, it's a lager. First of all, we always do a little bit of research when we go to grab these beers.
Yeah.
And their website sucks. I think we established that.
For the background so far, yeah,
Right.
It's pretty bad.
So who is Metropolitan Brewing? Not a whole lot of details.
Yes, your guess is as good as ours.
Yeah. So we're hitting the ground running today, Michael.
All right.
So this is a copper lager. We're gonna hit the Stump Michael question.
Let's have it.
Right out of the gate. And I gave you kind of a true false here.
Yeah.
A or B option. So which statement is true? A Pilsner is always a lager, or a lager is always a Pilsner?
So I think I guessed earlier that a lager is always a Pilsner.
That is what you guessed.
And am I wrong?
You were wrong.
So a Pilsner is always a lager?
Yes, a Pilsner is a type of lager.
Really?
Yeah. A lager is, it just has to do with some subtle differences, but lagers are beers that are fermented slowly at low temperatures, also from the bottom up.
I'll be honest, this is probably the first lager that I've ever bought, and it's not bad. And the reason why I bought it, I figured when I bought it was last Sunday, the temperature dropped 10 degrees colder. I was like, all right, let's just go with something a little bit more heavy or whatnot and give it a shot.
It is. As we head into October here, this is a good fall beer.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It definitely is.
So, Metropolitan Brewing, what I got is they're brewing German-style lager in Chicago since 2009. I've never been to their actual place, their brewery, but I saw some pictures of the Riverside patio that they have, and it looks pretty good.
Yep.
And they claim to make beer for the proletariat, so otherwise the working class individual. So they are blue collar beer.
Okay.
So not bad. That's all I got on them.
Yeah. So it's a good. I mean, it's a good mix of the malt and the hops, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a balance, right? So you get the little bit of hoppiness in it, a little bit of like toasty, toastiness kind of to it.
I get the hops. I definitely get the maltiness, if that's a word.
Another word for a copper lager is a Vienna lager.
Mm-hmm.
So just spicy, hoppy flavor.
Yeah, the Vienna lager really, I guess they range from copper to reddish brown in color. The beer Vienna lagers are also characterized by malty aroma and slight malt sweetness.
Look at you, kid. You've come a long way.
I've come a long way. Yeah, I can do research.
Yeah, I did some checked out. So I think this is a good description, right? This is some beer advocate feedback. Generally, feedback's pretty positive from people, but this is a good description, I think, of it. It pours a nice head and has a gorgeous copper red color. One flavorful, smooth lager, balanced brew, bit of hoppy bite, and a developed malty body. Yeah. So I think that kind of sums it up.
It does. I'm trying to find how much alcohol is in this, what the percentage is.
5.8.
Got it? 5.8, so not too strong.
The 29 IBU, so not too bitter.
Yeah, not bitter at all.
Also. And
score of 85 on beeradvocate.com.
Yeah, I saw a lot of biscuity.
They do a lot of biscuity.
There's that maltiness to it.
No horse blanket?
No, didn't see horse blanket, no. But I did see this one, which I thought, probably will have again, and pair it with a lunch sandwich.
A lunch sandwich?
A lunch sandwich.
Okay. I don't know what makes you want to pair it with a turkey club or something. But yeah.
A lunch sandwich. I like that description.
I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my more favorite beers that we've had on the show. I really like it, and I'm surprised because it's a lager. I generally do not like lagers.
Well, remember, Michael, you do like lagers because Corona,
and
Pacifico, and Miller, those are all lagers.
Right.
But this is a
traditional lager,
copper lager.
Yeah.
More flavor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could definitely tell a little bit more bitter and more toasty than like a regular American mass-produced lager. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely got the coppery red tones and whatnot. I'm telling you what, I like the smell of it too, which is kind of shocking. I read too that somebody said with this, you want to pour this beer or open this beer and wait about 5 minutes before you drink it to let the temperature come down a little bit.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's true, I don't know. I prefer colder beer, but
I think we've learned though that as the beer warms up, you get more flavor out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just ourselves sitting here drinking beers like this.
Yeah.
That's what it seems to be. Like packs more of a punch.
Right.
Either for better or worse, as it sits in your glass for a few minutes.
Yeah. Chocolate with beer doesn't work.
Yeah. So I'm excited to be here today. We've got release 2020 Wave 2 coming out, and
some Business Central, other news, bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over the company hub, and then Ken's going to talk about email logging, which is a very popular feature of Business Central nowadays.
Yep. Looking forward to it. So cheers to another episode.
Back for the Shot of Business Central segment here on our podcast. And we've got a few Business Central news items that we're going to talk about. So the first one is that the update 16.5 for Microsoft Dynamics Business Central was released. It's basically 5 platform hotfixes, 41 application hotfixes, and 1 feature change. The feature change is probably the most important thing of it, I would say, and that is the delete extension data. So on the extension management page, when you choose to uninstall an extension, the option now to delete the extension data is also available. I guess this is the equivalent of an extension uninstall for on-premises with clean mode. That's what they're saying.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, it just doesn't leave that data hanging out there. I don't think it hurts anything, or we haven't seen any reports of where that causes any issues.
Mm-hmm.
But why not just get rid of the data? If you're uninstalling it for good,
Yeah.
right, and you don't want it in there anymore, then you'd clear it with the data.
Right, just completely wipe it.
Yeah.
There is a deprecated features in Business Central webpage that was discovered. This webpage shows the features that have been moved, removed, or replaced with an upcoming new version. And it also tells you why this has been done. We'll put a link in the show notes to this page. So an example of this would probably be like, I don't know, the Windows client and why it was removed. It'll tell you what the reasoning was behind it. Next up, we have the retirement of Partner Source on October 1st, 2020. So maybe we should play some sad music.
Yeah, we're so upset by that.
Anytime Microsoft can remove a page without adding a page, I think it's a good thing. So,
Yeah,
a lot
I mean,
of this,
basically, they've just transferred the functionality that was there for partners on Partner Source has been just transferred over
Partner
into
Center.
the Partner Center.
yeah,
Right.
or the Partner Source Business Center.
Yes, they've kind of moved. Well, the Partner Source Business Center actually site it will remain.
That's going to remain, yes.
That'll remain. The Partner Business Center or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
For ordering and license management.
Yeah.
That's going to stay, but most of the content, all the other content, right, from Partner Source, just effectively is moved.
Right.
Right.
So they're just getting rid of one other page, which is a good thing since there's 500 million. All right, extended availability of Business Central on-premises version 14 for existing customers. So basically, Business Central on-premises has what is called the N2 policy, and with the release of version 17 on October 1st, that would mean that a downgrade to version 14 would not be possible anymore. However, Microsoft has now announced that they're going to offer a one-time exception for existing customers that have an active enhancement plan and want to downgrade to version 14 until October 31st, 2021, which is a good thing. I mean, I guess, Business Central version 14 is kind of the stepping stone to, all the other features or whatnot.
Yep, it's the latest release that still has the availability of objects and the Windows client. Right.
Perfect. So we'll put the official link to that in the show notes too. Also came across a AppSource blog which lists, I know I teased Ken with this earlier, but it lists all the new apps on AppSource, but it doesn't break it down by which product. But you at least can see within the last 2 weeks there was 56 new apps. You can see which ones they are. And if you want to take the time clicking each one, you can find out which one is applicable to Business Central.
Yeah, no, I'll do that once I'm done stabbing my pencil in it.
Well, Halloween is coming. So, also discovered how to change which production or sandbox environment opens up with either the desktop app or the mobile app. This can be done relatively easy. You're basically taking a URL code, pasting it into whichever browser that you're using on your mobile app or on your desktop. Once you put this code in there and you add your environment name, it'll ask you if you want to open this up in the app. And then going forward, every time you open the app, that environment will open up. So for me, it's great because I do a lot of testing and trying out things in the sandbox. So I can actually open up a sandbox environment on my mobile app or on the desktop app instead
But that
of the
was
actual production.
that was more difficult to do before.
Yeah, I had looked for it for the last year or so on how to do it. I never was able to do it, and just found it now. And the last bit of information that I have is you can now assign a Dynamics 365 admin role in Office 365 to any user that you want to allow them access to the Business Central Admin Center.
Okay.
So, Ken, what you got?
Just a couple notes, and then I want to dive into a little bit of descriptions on some of the features on 2020 Wave 2. The first thing is, just if you go out onto AppSource and you look at the apps, I think I noticed that there are currently 974 apps for Business Central out there. One, it's a big number. Two, it's kind of closing in on the 1,000 app milestone.
It is.
So maybe by next month we may pass that threshold of 1,000.
Yeah. It's going to be close. I'm trying to think if 2 years ago, or however long it's been, if I would have thought at this point we would have had 1,000 apps at this time. And I would probably guess no, just because, like with everything else, it's going to start off a little slow. People have to figure out how to use it, how to do it, how to create apps and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's showing long-term investment by not only Microsoft, but also by the consumer.
Yep. So that is definitely a good number once they hit that 1,000 threshold. The other note, just next week is the Business Central User Group Community Summit, I think it's called. And I just want to self-plug here that I'm hosting a session next Friday, so that's October 9th, 10:30 a.m. Central, I believe it is. And the session is called Custom Business Central Reports in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yes way.
So it's possible.
Clever title. And what I'm actually going to be going through is highlighting the standard integration between Business Central and Power BI, and what some of the tools are that you can use to easily create your own reports in Power BI using Business Central data.
Very nice.
So it's kind of an introductory level. I mean, if you're already building Power BI reports, you know, pulling BC data and stuff, maybe you spend your time elsewhere. But if you want to learn more about, okay, what comes out of the box, how does it work, and how do I do this, definitely might want to consider attending if you're registered for the conference next week.
Sounds like a great course. And Ken is always one of the best presenters at all these anyway. I've talked to a bunch of Microsoft people who always have high regard for Ken's sessions and the way he prepares and presents the information. So, like Ken said, check it out. It's definitely worth it.
Thank you, Michael. I see my bribes and payoffs to Microsoft are working.
You've hooked me on beer, too.
All right, so in terms of last kind of topic I want to get through, it's kind of a longer topic here, but just to kind of go through, talk through some of the key features and changes that are coming out in October with 2020 Wave 2. As you mentioned, it's still in preview. None of these features are available yet in the production environment, and even some of them I don't even know that they're in the preview, right? But the first one is Company Hub. We're going to hold off on talking about that though, because that's going to be our feature spotlight.
Okay.
Our apps featured app is going to be the Company Hub. Couple quick notes though. So they've added 4 additional countries for availability for Business Central: Brazil, Ireland, Lithuania, and India.
Wow. So
4 more regional locations. They've continued to improve the GP data migration tool. They added bank checkbooks and open purchase orders. Wow. So those 2 sets of data are now part of that data migration plan. I saw a bunch of general changes. It said like there are improvements to the launch time of the Role Center page. Oh. So just opening the Role Center page faster. Better fact box responsiveness and page responsiveness. So I think what they're doing is kind of highlighting and focusing first the primary content of the page, and then the fact boxes. Okay. Which means that the users are going to be able to, they don't have to wait for all the fact boxes to refresh, let's say, before they see the data on a list page and can click on something.
Nice.
So just better performance and responsiveness. Changes to the action bar and how that works. We'll have more details on that later. Low vision user improvements. So
user improvements.
So if
nice.
for
so maybe it's going to increase magnifying of
like font size, how font sizes and how icons react, and things like that if you're using a large font.
Nice.
Or high resolution,
Yeah.
Bigger resolution.
There you go. Bigger.
All right. So a couple other things. So you mentioned accessing multiple production or sandbox environments from the mobile apps already, which is one of the things. Also, the ability to launch multiple report request pages and multiple previews at the same time. So you run a report and you can launch multiple previews of reports at the same time. I tested this in the preview. I was able to run the same report multiple times and have multiple previews open. Either it's not there, or I wasn't user error because it just puts one on top of the other.
Oh, really?
So I had to close one to
And then
see
go
the
back.
other preview. All of them were still there, but I couldn't kind of put them side by side and view two at the same time. So I'm not sure if that might have been user error or it's not there yet. Another thing for developers out there, there's a new Business Central Performance Toolkit that's available. And so what this allows you to do is, if you're developing, maybe you're just developing a customization or you're developing an ISV or app solution, it is a new tool that allows you to compare the performance between different builds of your solution to make sure that your code changes don't negatively impact the performance of Business Central.
That's pretty nice.
So if you're considering, hey, what happens if we add this extra field here and then change the sort of this report based on that? It's a tool where you can kind of compare the two and see,
Nice.
what is the performance impact of that. Another new thing is the ability to do a point-in-time restore. We touched on this last month a little bit. The fact that with Business Central Online, Microsoft is continuously making backups of your database, right? Of your environment. And there's this new feature that allows you, basically, if something relatively catastrophic were to happen in terms of data, you've done something happens to the data, you actually could go back, pick any point within the last 30 days and revert back to that point.
Nice. I think there was a limit on it though. Some crazy number, like 10 or something.
But again, this is emergency.
Right.
Only pull in case of emergency type situation. So I don't think it's something that people are going to hopefully need very often at all. But you also can then rename existing environments, right? So if you have a current environment that's your live environment and you're going to restore, you might want to rename your current one and then restore with the original name on it. Right. So you can rename existing environments and go to the point-in-time restore. In terms of the launch of some new features, there's a page in Business Central now called Feature Management. And what Microsoft is going to start doing is, when they launch new features with these major releases every spring and every fall, instead of just auto-enabling all these features, and then users come in one morning and there's new fields or new buttons and new functionality, what they're going to do is for selected features, they're going to put them into this feature management. So you can see in this page, what are the new features that are out? You can try them out, actually, and then you can, when you're ready, enable that feature.
That's great.
And so some features you just may not want enabled, and other features you can enable them all right away, depending on how aggressive you want to be with it. So I think basically the objective there is to make these updates that are being auto applied less disruptive.
So I missed it when you were saying, are these features not enabled after the new release comes on by default?
Correct.
Okay, and then you have to choose to enable?
Yep. Yeah, and it's not every feature. It's selective features that it looks like that they believe people may or may not want to auto deploy, right, without first testing it. And right now the new version comes out. Then once that new release comes out, then you can make a copy of that environment into a sandbox. And in your sandbox, enable those features and test them out. Make sure everything works well. Then go into your production environment and turn those on.
Very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Couple more things. There's a new feature called retention policies.
Okay, what's that?
Retention, fancy words. So the retention policies, what it is it's a feature where you can set rules up on how long the system maintains certain types of log entries in the system. So now, in order to activate this feature, you have to actually, there's an assisted setup wizard.
Oh, really?
So you actually go into assisted setup and you will activate or run through the retention policies setup wizard. And it's set up for things like change log entries, job queue log entries, report inbox entries. Again, it's not, you can't go in and select any data you want.
Yeah.
Microsoft, it looks like, is determining the types of entries that will fit into this feature. But those are the types of entries that can abnormally grow your database. If you turn on the change log to track changes to different fields on tables, that table can grow like huge, crazily fast if you're tracking too much. Right? So to keep your database size from growing too large, you can say, you know what, I only want to retain 3 months worth of change log entries. And so that's an example. You can do 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. Nice. You can pick and choose. Right now it looks like there's about 5 or 6 different types of entries that you can turn this on for. So I think that's going to help keep people from their databases growing abnormally large.
Sounds like Microsoft, though, over the past couple releases, especially the last release, there is doing a lot to help people maintain their database size. So I'm assuming that a lot of people are starting, as they use it more and more, it's growing. So
are you reading off of my notes here, Michael?
No, is that next?
Because my next one was that there's new administrative access to your Business Central database size and available capacity. So,
hey, from God's eyes to my mouth.
Yeah. So that's a new feature. You can actually see how big your database is. Nice. Just even if it's for nothing else, just to know.
Yeah.
Right? How big is this database? Now, you also can do some setups. It's called field monitoring. And I actually I misspoke earlier. Field monitoring has the assisted setup wizard.
Oh.
So the retention policy is just a page that you open. So you can just go to your little search button, hit retention, and you can open the retention policies page and get to that. But the field monitoring is an assisted setup. And what this is, it's so you can define a list of high risk or business critical fields. And then say, I want to track whenever someone has changed this field.
Oh, and does it create a log or something then of?
Right, it actually a notification.
Oh, really?
It's set, so you can set up a notification.
So it means business.
Yep. So examples of that might be your posting groups, right? Your different GL accounts on your posting groups. Someone turning on the adjust cost process, right?
Now, do you know if Microsoft is limiting this to certain things as well, or can you pick anything you want?
That, unfortunately, I don't know. It was not in the preview yet, so I tried to run it. It was not available. A couple like feature access things that people, if anyone who's done these things might like to hear this. There's a function, if you're running manufacturing and you have multiple level bill of materials, there's a function called calculate low level code. Which kind of defines the structures and levels of your bill of materials behind the scenes so that it can cost correctly. That was a function that's always existed, but it was running slowly. So they improved the performance of that. That may not affect that many people, but if you're one of those people that it affected,
you're going to love it.
You would know. And then for items, so service and non-inventory type items, you now can set a default unit cost. So example of that might be if you have, let's say you add a service charge to an invoice or a freight charge to an invoice, and you're just going to charge customers a flat fee of $25 for shipping. You could then plug in, let's say, $15 or $20 as a default unit cost that gets transferred to your sales invoice lines. And that way you kind of have a more reasonable profitability calculation on your orders and invoices. So kind of a smaller feature, but I think could have a big impact if you're using a lot of non-inventory or service.
Makes life easier,
And then last but not least is integration with Microsoft Teams. I wish I
Big
could.
one.
I wish I could share some more details with you. Alas, not much available currently on that.
Kind of like our Beers Brewery.
Yeah,
There's not much out there.
They got that page. That feature page got put together by Metropolitan. So,
Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you know, October 1st is when they start rolling out the Release Wave 2 to customers.
officially, it's October 1st.
Right, but it could take.
We've been
time.
seeing. Generally, it's like the 15th to the 25th of October.
Yeah.
Of the month, right? When we see these updates.
Right.
So updates generally, it's like they come out around the 20th,
Mm-hmm.
15th to the 20th usually
Yeah.
of the month. So, we'll look for it every day, but I'm anticipating it's going to be the second half of October.
Yeah.
And then
Maybe
even
even
then,
November.
it's most features that will be released in October,
Mhm.
and then there are some. Just be aware that that may not actually be deployed until future months.
Probably like the Microsoft Teams one.
Touche.
Well, all right then. So next up, we've got what? We're going to talk about the Company Hub app that is coming with the Release Wave 2 Business Central.
Yes, sir.
All right, looking forward to it. Back with the featured app segment for a shot of Business Central and a beer. And this month we're going to be talking about it's an app, an extension, whatever you want to really call it, but it's put forth out there by Microsoft, so it's not something you have to go to App Stores and download. It comes with the new Release Wave that's coming up here in October, and it is the Business Central Company Hub. I, for one, like it better than the Accounting Hub or Accountants Hub that was out there before. I like it because anybody who really deals with multiple companies, multiple Business Central environments, or tenants can go in and have one spot where they're able to access all the different tenants, all the different environments, see some KPIs, check some errors, see if you have any tasks that need to be taken care of for that individual company, and you can just select whatever company it is and open up that environment right from there. It also can be used for partners, which we just found out earlier. So if you're a partner and you're supporting a bunch of different Business Central customers, you can have your own company hub and have your list of customers right there and be able to access that environment quickly. The only thing that we noticed so far is that your login has to pretty much be the same throughout all the different companies. So if you're accessing these companies through Partner Source, you shouldn't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I
As long
think
as
it seems like if you're supporting a customer, if you're a partner, you log into their environment once through CSP, through the CSP portal,
Mhm.
that auto creates that user's record in their tenant, in their environment. And so then after that you could set up that company hub.
Right. So as long as you're logging into your Business Central with the same login as
Correct.
you're using
Yep.
to access, you
Yep.
should be okay. It's got a lot of good features. You can see like the cash accounts balance, overdue purchase invoice, overdue sales invoice amount, and things like that. And as we mentioned before, it's pretty easy to keep track of your tasks. One thing with in relation to the tasks, when you're looking at the tasks, you have the open and edit in Excel option. I was not able to get the edit in Excel feature to work just to see what it was going to do, but you can also check and delete the errors. Setup pretty simple, can be completed in less than 10 steps. You're basically just copying the link from the Business Central environment that you want, adding it to the Company Hub, and
Yep.
testing it, and
You test the connection so
Yeah.
it can verify that you can connect okay, and then it automatically builds all of the companies in that tenant into the list of companies on the Company Hub.
Mhm.
And then from there you could delete one if you don't want it.
yeah.
On
So
there.
pretty quick, pretty simple. The only thing that might have a couple more steps involved, which we haven't had the option to test yet, is if you're trying to access a tenant that is not within your company, I guess you would say it, right? If you're trying, let's say you're an account and you have multiple
Right.
Different customers, you
yeah.
might have to add your login to Azure. We don't know because we haven't tested with the
Yeah.
extended or the accountant's license that you can add to it. So
Right. Yep. But I mean, it's so I created a preview environment for 2020 Wave 2, and it automatically installed and enabled the Company Hub extension.
Right.
Which is why I was actually confused earlier. We were talking about the feature spotlight segment of Company Hub, and then you corrected me to say this is the app spot, featured app of the month, and because I just assumed it was a new feature. But
it seems like it.
It actually is an app that is developed by Microsoft, so you can uninstall it if you don't want it available for people. But I would go so far as to say that the Accountant Hub that was there, I mean, I read about it and knew what the capabilities were and how it worked. I never used it. But I see myself using this Company Hub all the time.
Yeah.
Whether it's for managing our like all my, like within one tenant, I've got a production environment and then 2 sandbox environments. And each of those has 2 or 3 companies in it. So what this Company Hub page does, I save this as a favorite in my browser. I go right to that home page and I have one-click access to all those environments. So, it isn't earth-shattering, but on a daily basis, because I do access the production environment and sandboxes all the time, I'm definitely going to use it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to save you more time. Yeah. Able to let you become more productive. It's probably not for the smaller companies that don't have multiple companies set up in their Business Central tenant,
Yeah.
But
I think going forward, it will be useful because, more people I think will begin taking advantage of the sandboxes.
Right.
Even next release, they're going to start adding some more features and functionality to how you can use the sandboxes. So I think that is going to be something that we'll see people using. So again, maybe not something people use every day, but I would definitely set it up, save it as a shortcut that I can quickly access, and then use that as an easy, quick way instead of having to go into the admin center to get to those sandboxes or other companies. If I want to, instead of going up to my settings, changing my company, I can just click on the company I want to connect to and open it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're accessing more than one environment, I would always use the Company Hub going forward as basically, like you said earlier, your homepage.
Yeah.
Just because it's simpler, it's easier, and it's quicker. So, but yeah, that's about it. We'll include a link in the show notes too to the blog post that walks you through the 8 or 9 steps to set up the Company Hub. It's really simple. So
yeah, there's also, I saw a couple of other, you mentioned user tasks. You can see how many user tasks are out there or past due user tasks for your ID, right?
Yeah.
For yourself.
You can actually mark it complete or whatnot from the actual Company Hub.
And then you pointed this out. I missed this feature. There's you can access to and see if any errors have been reported within any of these companies.
Yeah.
And see those different errors. So
with errors, you can view the error details. You can obviously open and edit them in Excel, and you also have the ability to delete entries that are older than 7 days from the error page. You can delete all the entries if you want to, but
yep.
So
overall, I give it a thumbs up.
So do I. Nice. And with that, we're going to come back with Ken's going to talk about the email logging feature that is in Business Central.
All right, welcome back, everyone. In the feature spotlight today, we're going to be talking about a very underutilized feature within Business Central called email logging. So what is email logging? Well, a lot of times when you're using Business Central, right, now you're using Office 365. So that's one of the keys is if you're using Office 365 and you're using Business Central, you can easily track all of those emails that take place between your contacts and your salespeople within Business Central. So what happens is, so let's say you have your company, you have a customer, and you have a contact set up. Let's call him Joe Schmo at customer.com. And I'm Ken, I'm the salesperson at Cronus USA. Once you've enabled email logging, any email correspondence, either from Joe Schmo at customer.com, or that comes inbound, or outbound from Ken to one of the contacts, automatically gets logged by the email logging as an interaction entry in Business Central.
Did you say any and basically all emails get logged?
Between a contact and a salesperson in your company. So, right? So if you think about, if you've ever used Dynamics 365 for sales, one of the most popular features is the email tracking feature, right? Where you can click on an email and say, I want to track this, and then say, I want to track all emails between myself and this person, right?
Yeah.
Email logging in Business Central is effectively the same thing, except it automatically tracks all of the emails for you. And where it tracks it is if you go to the contact card, you have what are called interaction log entries. Mm-hmm. And an interaction is any communication between your organization and that contact. That could be you sent them an order confirmation, or you sent them a shipment or an invoice, or right, any of those things. It also could be that you manually recorded an interaction as a phone call, so you call them. But it's also these emails. And
it's a big part, right?
And so what happens is it automatically creates these. So now, once you've set this up, these emails are managed. There's actually behind the scenes in Office 365, in the Exchange Admin Center, it creates folders. And then there's a code unit in Business Central that looks in these folders to see if there's any emails that have to get handled, mm-hmm. and it then creates the interactions for it. So what you would do is you'd set that email logging code unit up on your job queue. I've got mine set up in my test environment to run every minute.
Wow.
So every minute it checks those Exchange folders, those email logging queue folders, to see if there's any emails that have to get picked up.
I wonder if that would inhibit some performance, though, if there's high volume with every minute.
Every minute, right? Yeah. So maybe, and do you need that every minute? No.
Probably not. Yeah.
Every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes probably is acceptable. So, and the greatest thing is that, again, they're automatically logged, and then other people can view those emails. So now, let's say I've had email communications, I'm the salesperson, with this customer. Now I'm out sick. Someone else has to fill in for me tomorrow, and they want to see what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. They could go to that contact card, pull up the interaction history.
Yeah.
They will see a record for each inbound or outbound email. Click on it's called the attachment. Mm-hmm. It'll say attachment yes. You click on that, and in a separate window, it launches Office 365 and shows you that full email.
Very nice.
Including any documents that are attached within the email.
So that's really great if, like you said, somebody's out sick and they want to go back and, your prospect says, oh, they quoted me 400 or whatever. Right. You can go back and actually check and make sure that that's what it was quoted or whatnot. Very nice.
Yep. So it's really neat. There's a 5-minute video available that actually walks you through the steps for setting this up. There's an assisted setup wizard that you run called Setup Email Logging, mm-hmm. and now you have to have whoever is set up at the customer as their admin has to be the person who sets this up, because you need the admin privileges to set up the Office 365
So the global
folders.
Admin for Office 365, I got you.
Correct, right. So it has to be your Office 365, it has to be your admin user. Yeah. But your admin user just logs into Business Central. We've walked multiple customers through this now on how to do this, but it's very easy. You log in, you hit a couple prompts, you enter your email address and your password, There's a test connection,
Right.
validate connection function you can run that makes sure that everything is set up correctly. Explains how to go set up that code unit on the job queue and set the frequency. And then you test a couple emails.
Now, is it safe to say that you should run through the assisted setup for emailing in Business Central first before you do this, just to create the connection, or do you think it matters?
Separate. Yeah, I think that's a separate.
Right, it's separate.
piece.
Yeah, but do you have to do that first?
I've not found that you have to.
Okay.
No. Now and keep in mind it's logging all emails between all your anyone who's a contact and anyone who's set up as a salesperson or purchaser, right? But who's to say who is a salesperson or purchaser within your organization?
Right.
So if you have 15 users, technically you could set up all 15 users as a salesperson or purchaser record, and so you're now going to track any emails from any contact to any person at your organization, right?
Nice.
It's not just a salesperson.
Yeah.
It could be anyone, right? But that's what determines which ones it's tracking. So, we've again, the admin, you need to be the admin to set it up. It's not something your partner really can do for you because you have to enter your password in there unless you want to be handing out your password for Office 365 to people. But it's very quick. It's very easy to use. And I think if you combine just the standard contact tracking features with email logging, right, and then maybe look at some basic opportunity tracking, I think what you find is that at that point, Business Central provides you with all of the CRM functionality your organization might need.
Yeah.
Right? When you think about, what are you really using within your CRM system? Right? Your contact tracking, looking up history, looking up doing quotes and orders and interactions and setting up to-dos. All of those things are available in Business Central now with Office 365, including email tracking. That now becomes available to any one of your Business Central users.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I really liked about it was that when you're looking at the logging of the emails and whatnot, I like how once you decide to access that email, it's not basically it's seamlessly integrated with Office 365 to where it launches it, and you can respond to the email, you can check the attachments, reply, forward whatever you want right from there. So it's definitely a nice feature. I liked it.
I like that little drop in there, Michael, mainly because it allowed me to pop open another Dynamo Copper Lager and have another drink here. So
is it time to rate these?
I think it might be, yeah. What you selected it. You go ahead and do the honors first.
Okay, so I like it. I like it a lot. I like the smell of it. I actually like the look of it, the taste of it. I'm going to give this a high rating for me of 32. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go with about 94. Really high rating for me.
That is, yeah.
Especially for a lager.
You do. You love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
So, again, not just rating it for a lager, but just over my overall, enjoyment on it. I'm gonna go 84.
Oh, not
so
bad.
I like it. It's good. I wouldn't,
It's not your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Again, if I'm looking at a Pilsner or an IPA or a stout or something, the Copper Lager is probably going to be 4th or 5th on that list of types of beers I'd get. But I think for what it is very good.
Yeah. See, the issues I have with the rating is if I had this beer and it was 95 degrees outside, I say it's a lot, and I'm drinking this beer, am I going to rate it 94? Probably not.
Right.
It's going to drop significantly. Yeah. So I get influenced by the environment a lot.
Yeah, as you should. Right. That's part of it. Right. You gotta. Right. There's a time for everything. Right.
Yeah, completely.
So I think just to kind of wrap up the email logging segment again. So just to kind of recap it, If you are using Office 365 in Business Central, there's an assisted setup wizard that you can use to quickly get this feature set up and deployed. And I think there's a huge amount of benefits. It's currently, I'm seeing a huge lack of utilization of this feature, which I think a lot of our customers should be taking, a lot of people should be taking advantage of it.
Yeah, completely agree. So with that brings us to another wrap-up of another episode of A Shot at Business Central and a Beer. Ken, it's been a blast. Next time on the show, we're probably going to be able to talk about the release and whether
and
it's
how Microsoft Teams integrates with Business Central.
Let's hope. Fingers crossed. Let's hope. Because the capabilities or the possibilities there could be endless. But with that, we're going to say goodbye and check it all out and share it.
Yep. Thanks for grabbing the beer, and I'm going to look forward to getting together again in another month or so.